Hello, it's Annette here and you're all very welcome. This video today will deal with general impact that the 6 bad messages has on our lives. If you're not familiar with the 6 bad messages, I have a video explaining them in the pinned comment below. But some of you may know about the 6 bad messages from my other videos, and they are the harmful beliefs we learn about ourselves when we grow up in a toxic, abusive, neglectful, emotionally damaging environment. And the problem is this: we don't just carry these bad messages while we're children, we carry them into our adult lives, and we continue repeating these bad messages to ourselves over and over again, all the time, every day, every night. And the 6 bad messages, just to say them quickly for you again, are: you are not enough, you are responsible for others, don't trust your feelings or your instincts, you are bad and you are wrong, you are alone, nobody loves you, and lastly, you must be perfect or nobody will love you. If we had a toxic or abusive childhood, it is very likely that we will end up feeding ourselves these 6 statements about ourselves all the time. This is how we feel about ourselves. These are the damaged core beliefs we have learned about ourselves due to the toxic environment we had to grow up in. So if you look at these 6 bad messages, can you see how, if you are constantly telling yourself these statements, that this will result in you putting yourself down all the time, day and night, every second? Now, many people watching this may recognize these bad messages immediately and they may relate to them. They may recognize them, but others may not. And this is because the 6 bad messages operate at a subconscious level, in that we are not even aware that we are feeding ourselves these bad messages. So today, in this video, I want to go through 7 very important points that would help you understand about the bad messages and how they impact on your life. And the first point is, the 6 bad messages, as I said, they operate subconsciously. And this is one of the most important things to understand about them. You see, most people, we don't wake up in the morning consciously deciding to put ourselves down. We're not sitting there intentionally saying, I want to hate myself today because I think I am useless. We feed ourselves these bad messages subconsciously. We're not even aware of them, and we're not even aware that they're controlling what we think about ourselves. But these bad messages, they feed us bad things about ourselves that are not the truth about who we are. And this all happens quietly, but it's constant. We never stop feeding ourselves these bad messages. And so they become a part of the constant background noise in our minds. So for example, let's take the first bad message: you are not enough. It kicks in immediately if you make even a tiny mistake. Your subconscious mind instantly tells you that you're useless, you're not enough, you always ruin things, you're always wrong. And here's another example. Let's take the third bad message, and it is: don't trust your feelings, don't trust your instincts. So let's say you meet someone and they say something really rude and you're upset about how this person treated you, but your subconscious mind immediately tells you, don't trust your feelings or your instincts, don't trust yourself here, you're overreacting, you're the problem, you're too sensitive. And because you have been feeding yourself these bad messages subconsciously since you were a child, you believe them. And as we get to adulthood, we're not even aware that we are still carrying these bad messages about ourselves. And we're not even aware that they're not even the truth. So we're constantly putting ourselves down, and we don't challenge the 6 bad messages, as we're not aware that they control what we think about ourselves. So, sadly, the 6 bad messages will continue to control what you think about yourself until someone makes you aware of them, tells you that they exist. And hopefully, this is where my videos come in. Making you aware that you may be feeding yourself these 6 bad messages, that you may be constantly subconsciously putting yourself down. This gives you the chance to challenge those bad messages and those lies, and it gives you a chance to stop them invading your adult life and wrecking your head. Making you aware of the 6 bad messages allows you to see that they are not the truth about who you are. But without awareness of these bad messages, we will just continue to carry them through our adult lives, and you will see that this does not serve us well. The second point I want to tell you about the 6 bad messages is that they destroy your self-confidence. Because if you look at what they tell us, you're not enough, you're bad, you're wrong, you are alone, nobody loves you, and so on. If you spend all your life feeding yourself these bad messages every day, how could you possibly have any self-confidence? How could you feel secure in yourself? How could you feel good about yourself? If your own mind is constantly criticizing you, doubting you, blaming you, shaming you, and attacking you, it becomes, I suppose, impossible to build any self-confidence. So when we feed ourselves these bad messages, we find that we become frightened of making mistakes, frightened of speaking up, frightened of setting boundaries, frightened of being alone, so frightened of rejection. Because deep down, we already believe something is wrong with us. We already believe we are useless. So life becomes exhausting. Not because we are weak, we're not weak, but because we are putting ourselves down all day long, all night long. We are constantly undermining ourselves, and we don't even know we're doing this. Since we have no self-confidence, we are more likely to tolerate toxic people and toxic situations, as we won't have the confidence to stand up for ourselves. You need to have self-confidence to be able to stand up to abusive people and abusive situations. So, can you see how damaging it is to your self-confidence to be constantly feeding yourself the 6 bad messages? And the third point I want to tell you about the 6 bad messages is that they're lies. And this is also very important. The bad messages are not facts. They are not the truth about who you are. And why is this? It's because they're damaged core beliefs that you developed when you were a child, while you were trying to survive in a toxic environment. This happens because children subconsciously absorb messages from the environment around them. So if a child grows up criticized, rejected, blamed, ignored, manipulated, shamed, controlled, emotionally neglected, all of those things, if that happens, the child doesn't blame its carers. The child needs its carers, so the child can't blame its carers, so the child turns the blame inwards and starts to blame itself for any difficulties in their environment. The child thinks, it must be me. I must be the problem. I must not be lovable. But the truth is, the problem was the environment. The problem was how the child was treated. The child was never the problem. So the 6 bad messages that the child started to think about themselves, they were never the truth about that child. They are the child's attempt to make sense of their difficult environment. And since the child can never ever criticise their carers, the child ends up criticising themselves and feeding themselves the 6 bad messages. So that's how it happens. But those 6 bad messages, they're not the truth about the child. They were never the truth. And as soon as you become aware that you may be feeding yourself the 6 bad messages, you begin to see how they are not the truth about who you are. All that you learned as a child when you were trying to survive a toxic, difficult environment, all of that can be unlearned. And you can see how to unlearn the 6 bad messages in the video that appears on the screen at the end of this video. Now, the 4th point I want to tell you about the 6 bad messages is that they make life very painful, very difficult. It's a very hard way to go through life, always feeding yourself these lies about yourself. Because when you constantly feed yourself these bad messages, you never truly get to rest emotionally. You never really get to feel safe inside yourself. You don't get to trust yourself. You don't get to like yourself. You don't get to feel comfortable being yourself. Even achievements, they don't often help. And you'll find that some people, they just keep trying to achieve more and more, trying to prove that they are enough. Some people become high achievers, perfectionists. Some people end up caring for everyone around them. They become people pleasers. Some just stay silent and tolerate terrible treatment. But underneath all this behaviour is the same problem. The person has learned damaged core beliefs about themselves that are not true. But those damaged beliefs make it very difficult to be able to enjoy life. And the 5th point I want to tell you about the 6 bad messages is they can pull us into toxic situations. And how does this happen? If you look at it like this, if somebody believes I'm not enough, or nobody loves me, or I'm responsible for everyone around me, I must be perfect or nobody will love me, or I'm alone and nobody loves me. If somebody believes those things about themselves, they'll end up tolerating situations that are not good for them. They may struggle to set boundaries. They may excuse bad behaviour. They may stay too long in an unhealthy relationship. They may become frightened of upsetting people. They may blame themselves for everything. And because they lack confidence in themselves, they often do not protect themselves properly. So this is why understanding the 6 bad messages is so important. Because if we do not stop them controlling what we think about ourselves, then they quietly shape our behaviour, our choices, our reactions, and our lives. Now, the 6th point I want to tell you about the 6 bad messages is when we become aware of the 6 bad messages, we begin to take our control back. And this is why awareness is so powerful, and I mention it all the time. Once you begin recognizing these bad messages and you become aware of them, you start to see how you are feeding yourself these bad messages. When you start to realize this, something important something really important happens. I'm getting my words all mixed up. Something really important happens. You start noticing that's the bad message talking to me there, but that's not the truth. That's the damaged core belief I learned as a child when I was trying to survive my difficult environment. And it's really important because many people spend their whole lives believing negative thoughts about themselves that enter their minds subconsciously. But once you become aware of the 6 bad messages, you can begin separating yourself from them. You begin realizing, I do not have to believe this bad message as it's coming into my head. It's not the truth about me. And that's the beginning of change. That's the beginning of stopping the 6 bad messages controlling what you think about yourself. And this is why I have worked out in my own healing, I worked out that awareness of the 6 bad messages is the first step to healing from a difficult childhood. And lastly, the 7th and final point I want to make about the 6 bad messages is about healing. Because there is a way to stop the 6 bad messages controlling your mind. And this is where my method of nip and flip comes in. Nip and flip is the practical method I teach for challenging the 6 bad messages in everyday life. The idea is very simple and it's very easy to use. It's very easy to apply. Basically, you catch the bad message when it appears, when it enters your head, when you are aware of it and what it is trying to tell you about yourself. But instead of letting it land, you nip it before it can land. You nip it in the bud. You don't let it land. You don't give it airtime. You don't entertain it. And then you consciously flip it to a good message about yourself. And a good message is the truth about you. So, for instance, instead of telling yourself, I'm not enough, you begin practicing, I am enough. I am enough exactly as I am. Instead of telling yourself, I'm bad and I'm always wrong and everything is my fault, you begin practicing, I am a fine person. Yeah, I make mistakes. We all do. But I'm a good person who is doing their best trying to get through life. Instead of telling yourself, I'm alone, nobody loves me, you begin practicing, I'm not alone. Plenty of people like me and some of them love me and I deserve love and healthy connections. Now, when you first start to use nip and flip, it can feel a bit unnatural. Okay, and I'm a witness to that, because when you're so used to putting yourself down all your life, suddenly you're saying lovely things to yourself or good messages. And it takes time for your mind to get used to hearing good things about you, the truth about you. But if you make nip and flip a part of your everyday life, like cleaning your teeth, over time, watch how your self-confidence starts to grow. Watch how you slowly begin to like yourself. Watch how you start to trust yourself. Yes, nip and flip takes practice, 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 but it does work. I've been using nip and flip for many years now, and I'll be honest, I rarely let a bad message land. I mean, the odd time they come in, but I'm able to knock them out straight away with nip and flip. So when you use nip and flip over time, something very important begins to happen. You replace all the bad messages about yourself with good messages instead. And these good messages, they're the truth about who you are. So what happens then? Slowly, over time, little by little, you begin to feel stronger in yourself. You begin to like yourself. You begin to trust yourself. Your self-confidence grows. You are then able to protect yourself from toxic and abusive situations. And this is healing. Welcome to healing. I'll end by saying that while the 6 bad messages may be powerful, we now know that they are not permanent. Once we become aware of them, we can start to challenge them and replace them with good messages and the truth about ourselves. And learning to challenge the 6 bad messages can completely change the way you experience yourself and the way you experience the world around you. You end up feeling good about yourself and liking yourself and trusting yourself. And that means you are far less likely to end up in a toxic or abusive situation. And that's healing too, isn't it? So, welcome again to healing. Thank you for listening, and I do hope this helps.